Welcome back to this episode of Paint Society. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to permanently restore those ugly faded black trims on your vehicle using just some sandpaper and some spray paint. And here's what we're going to be fixing in this episode. Odds are your vehicle looks similar to this. That's why you clicked on the video. Let's go ahead and see the products before we get started. And this is all you're going to need to get the project done. We have some pre-painting prep wipes or a cleaning solution, some K600 sandpaper, some tape, some fine line tape, and then this is the Luna 1 Jet Black High Gloss paint that we're going to be using in a trim that is going to give us a permanent solution to those trims never fading again. The first step is to get it clean, and these are pre-saturated pre-wipes to help surface cleaning before painting and sanding. However, if these are too much, you can always use the same solution with a microfiber. I do like how handy these wipes are, so I'll be using them in my video today, and I'll also link everything in the description so you can get your project done as well. One wipe is enough to go around the whole entire surface to get everything nice and clean. And remember that when you're cleaning, not only clean the trim, but clean around where the tape is gonna go so that your tape does not lift while you're painting and you don't get black paint where you don't want it. All right, and that's all there is to it. And this is a quick and easy project that you can get done in your own home garage within a couple hours. And again, since we're in a home garage and we're not going to be using air compressors, we're going to use our Wolfbox air blowers. Remember these from our past video. This is the MF50 and the MF100. I'm starting to like the MF100 because it's not that much more money for a more powerful blast. Now that we've got it all wiped down, let's make sure there's no more dirt and debris within the channels of the moldings. Turn it on right here, and we have 3 speeds, high, medium, and low. We'll go ahead for the high, and we'll blast it. And before we start our sanding, we're going to be doing our taping. That way we don't hit any of the blue paint. And when you're doing the taping, the first thing you want to do is open up that door and put some tape right in between the molding so paint does not fly into the door jamb. And with both seams taped up, we're ready to close the door. Then you're going to take your time to really tape up well so you can tape up all the rubber so we don't get paint on the rubber, but we get paint on the molding. That's exactly what we want. If we get paint on the rubber, it's going to flake off and it's not going to look factory. Now when taping the inside, you can use a single edge razor, but be very careful not to cut the rubber. And we're all taped off. You can see how precisely it is taped off. That way we have a perfect paint job. Now we're ready for the sanding. And for the sanding, we have a hand pad and we have a K600 sanding sheet. Now these are available in the description, and the good thing about it is they sell it in a very small pack, so you don't have to buy a lot. You can use it for a small project just like this. Now here we have a little bit of oxidated dead paint, but we don't need to prime this. The good thing with the Luna 1 product is a primer built in, so we can do everything at once in one can. All we're looking to do here is use the control of this pad to get into this crevice, and we want to make sure we smooth that out a little bit so when we go to paint, we don't see the edges of the dead clear coat and the color underneath. This is all it takes, is just a little bit of scuff just like this. And as you scuff it up, and you feel it, if it feels a little bit rough, then just give it a little bit more of a sanding. And we're going to be using the MF50 just to blow off under the sandpaper so it's nice and clean. And we're good to start again. A good sanding paper that is nice and clean is going to help with the sanding cut so it's nice and smooth. And that's all we really need to do. When it's dull, it's pretty much ready for paint. Now on areas like this where the paint's really not bad, well, all we really need to do is scuff it up. There was a visor here before, so that's why this paint is pretty protected still and still in good shape. Give it a little bit of a wipe to check and resand where needed. You can see here, there's a little bit of a residue, so sometimes you can take your pre-painting prep, give it a little spray, and that will help lubricate that adhesive to get it off nice and easy. Perfect. Now over here is where you're going to want to spend a little bit extra attention. Now in this area, we can see that it's really bad, but we don't want to use the hand pad because we can make marks. We want to use something a little bit flatter. So if you have a case like this that's really bad, you can use the optional block. And what this will do is apply smooth pressure so we can sand it smooth instead of possibly putting little finger marks in it. And it's very simple. It's just like we did before. All we're gonna be doing is sanding it until that white oxidation completely comes off and it's smooth with the rest of the paint. And the question is, how do you know when to stop, right? You don't want to sand too much, you don't want to sand too little. You want to feel it. Once it feels like it's completely smooth, then it's good to go. We don't want to go through multiple layers and then cause like a dip, and we'll see that in the paint. That's why this K600 is probably the best sandpaper you can use, because it's aggressive enough to cut it, but it's fine enough to leave a paintable surface, and that's really important. And for those tight areas across the bottom, you can take the sandpaper and fold it up really tight and give it a nice little sand. And that's all there really is to it. A nice scuff, and we're ready to start cleaning this down and getting some plastic on it so we can get the Luna 1 paint all sprayed on. Next up, it's time for plastic. Now this is Overspray protection sheeting. This is meant for automotive painting. One side is actually treated, so if you're painting, like say in a paint booth or even heavy painting in your garage, the actual paint will stick to the treated side and it won't flake off in your paint. Now this might seem a little bit expensive at first, but if you plan on doing a lot of projects in your garage, it's a lot cheaper than going to Lowe's and buying little packets of plastic each and every time that aren't as thick as this. We'll go ahead and get this car all plasticed up and start spraying. Now we can see the whole car is completely masked off, and if you're thinking it's not necessary, it is 100% necessary, because this Overspray will carry, and since it's a 2K product, it's gonna have that hardener in it, and it's gonna be even harder to get off if it dries on a surface that you don't want it on. And that's right, it is a 2K product without the red popper topper that punctures the bladder. We're gonna go ahead and get started by doing our final wipe. And we're gonna be doing our final cleaning. We're gonna be using an alcohol wipe for the final to make sure that everything is nice and clean. Now granted, this is the final cleaning, so it should be clean, but that's really just paint that is taking off, so don't think you haven't done a good job so far. Now once this is done, we're gonna give it one final blow with the MF100. Set the power down to 2, turn it on. And make sure that we get in all the little crevices so we don't have any dirt that is in our paint job. And we're gonna get protected with the Paint Society lab coat. If you guys like the channel and you wanna support the channel, this is a great way to do so. I throw on my lab coat, that way I'm protected my skin and I don't get any nasty paint all over me. We'll also be using our half mask 3M respirator so we can protect our lungs as well. We'll pop the garages to get the extra ventilation. We're gonna shake it up to 3 minutes so all the contents are completely mixed up thoroughly. The first coat is gonna be medium wet. Just wet enough to get the paint on, but not super glossy. We can already see it's looking fantastic. We'll then carry on the paint. And down below, beautiful. We'll then go up our B-pillar, getting it medium wet so we can see a little bit of a shine, but not too glossy yet. We'll carry it down and give it a double pass, and then through here. And that's it. We'll allow this to dry for a good 10 minutes, and we can already see the gloss is really good. Check that out. That's amazing. And here it is 10 minutes after the first coat, and you're gonna notice that your first coat is gonna lose a little bit of gloss, and it's perfectly normal for your first coat to lose a little bit of gloss and get absorbed into all those layers. 20 years of paint, the first coat is going to absorb into it, and then you'll lose some of that gloss right away. But here's what you need to do. Allow it to dry that 10 minutes, and once it dries, it's dried enough to stack the second coat on top. Rather than absorb everything into one coat, you're gonna be stacking the second, and possibly we'll check it out to see if it needs a third. Let's get to it. And we're gonna follow the same process. but a little bit heavier this time. We're gonna be doing double passes on every single one of our moldings, just to make sure we get a little bit more paint on there, and then we'll check it out to see if it needs a third. So we'll double pass everything on the second coat. We'll go down. And then we're gonna go back up on this guy over here, down here, and then up here. One more double pass. You can see that fantastic gloss has come back right away. Take a look at that. That looks stunning. And you'll notice that as it dries, it will smooth out just a little bit. You might get a little bit of orange peel off the bat, but allow it to dry a little bit. And if you do have a little bit of orange peel, you can get a little bit closer. We're talking maybe about 3 inches closer, and it'll get a little bit smoother. And after that second coat, oh man, it's holding that gloss way better. I have a little bit more left in the can, and I'm gonna go ahead and put on a third coat. I'm also gonna go just a little bit slower. And by going just a little bit slower, it'll give a little bit more time for the paint to lay down smoother. Sometimes if you're going too fast, what happens is that paint doesn't have enough time to lay down and to build up. So you can see I'm moving a little bit slower here, just to get a little bit more product on the surface so we can have the smoothest possible finish out of a spray can. You see how nice it's laying down, taking our time. We don't want runs, so we don't want to move too slow, but I'm a good, I would say about 4 inches here from the surface, going all the way into the corner. And then we'll move down here. Make sure we get into the corner as well. It's kind of hard to see. And that's it, guys. Now, let's talk about dry time and what it takes to remove the tape and when you should be removing the tape. Now, tape removal is the most important part of the finishing process of your project. You don't want to pull the tape too soon where you're getting fingerprints in your wet paint, and you don't want to wait too long because you could bridge between the paint and the tape itself. Here on this particular project, we have the tape so close to the actual paint itself, but not to the point where it's bridging. So we have a little bit more leniency. If you have a project where the tape and the paint are exactly at the same exact level, then you're gonna wanna try to pull that within about 10 minutes. For our particular project, we're gonna wait a little bit longer, but we're not gonna wait till it's completely cured. We're gonna go ahead and give it a good 30 minutes. A 30-minute time frame here will ensure that we're not gonna mark up the paint with our fingers, but it's not gonna be completely cured, so the paint will be just a little bit soft enough to pull that tape without bridging the two together so it rips and pulls, rather they'll separate much easier. So let's allow this to dry, and we'll come back and we'll pull the tape off, see what it looks like. And here it is after 30 minutes. We could check and see, and look it, we don't have any paint transfer, but it's still not completely cured because we're leaving a little bit of a mark. So it's a good time to take it off when you don't have any black paint coming off, but you still have a little bit of a mark. We know that it's gonna be good to go. So we're gonna carefully remove all of the tape and check it out and see what it looks like for the first time. And check it out, guys, here it is after it's all been complete. Look at that beautiful gloss right out of a spray can. That is a phenomenal gloss. It matches the OEM finish back when it was brand new. This is a great way to permanently restore the look of any trim on your vehicle or paint any emblem. I'll take a look at this finish. Is phenomenal, and we did it in 2 hours in our own home garage. A couple quick tips. Allow it to dry 24 hours before letting it out in elements if you can. Any rain or dew can ruin the paint job since it's still curing. Also, if you want a phenomenal job like this, you need to use the products in the video. If you try to use your own version of it, you can have some issues. Like even when it comes down to the tape, if you don't use the automotive base tape, the green tape, the best, you're gonna have issues with lifting and paint getting where you don't want it to. I also showed you guys fine line in the beginning of the video, and it's not always needed. We didn't need it here, but you might need it for your project for some really tight areas. And of course that Luna 1 paint, it's just a phenomenal gloss. I'm really happy to be able to use it once again. We use it on wheels and now these trims, and it looks fantastic. I wanna give you some more shots of how good this looks, including some befores and afters. Guys, this is Brian from Paint Society, reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next episode.